Welcome to the all-new Bentley Continental GT. It's been almost 5 years in the making, looks about 10 times sexier than the previous model, and has seen Bentley's engineers collaborating with Porsche all the way down the line. The result is a machine that weighs a mere 76 kilograms less than the old model, but which is, claim its creators, massively improved in every single dimension. It costs just shy of 160 grand and is powered by a brand new 6-litre W12 twin-turbo engine that produces 626 bhp plus a whopping 900 Newton-meters of torque. As before, it's four-wheel drive, but this time it comes with an 8-speed dual-clutch gearbox and has fully computer-controlled suspension. As such, it is easily the most sophisticated GT car Bentley has ever produced. And not only is it more comfortable and refined than before, but also a lot more sporting to drive, says Bentley, which is why they took us to Anglesey Circuit recently to let us have a go in it. We also drove it on the road. And as you can discover, we weren't exactly disappointed by what we found.
So I have driven the new GT on the road, but we didn't quite get time to film any of that. It's a bit of a hectic schedule today, and as Bentley are claiming, it is definitely a little bit more comfortable, definitely a little bit more refined on the road. I think the ride quality has got, if anything, better still, and it just has a lovely fluidity and a bit less drag simply to the way it goes down the road, and it feels outrageously fast on the road as well, as it's going to with 626 horsepower and 900 Newton-meters of torque. But the area in which Bentley is claiming that the GT has made a really big step forwards with its Panamera underpinnings, it's not actually fair to say Panamera underpinnings, they jointly developed these cars. But anyway, the area that it's leapt forwards rather than just crept forwards is in its sporting and dynamic abilities. And that's why they brought us to Anglesey, because they're basically saying that this thing is, well, they're sort of saying it's a sports car. Can it really be labelled as a sports car when it weighs 2.4 tonnes with me in it? I don't know. Let's find out, because this is one of the better tracks and we know Anglesey really well. The fact that you can do that in it straight out of the box is quite nice. Do you know, I'm not sure they're wrong, because you always wonder about these things and you have to take their claims with a pinch of salt, because when people say that they've built a sports car, you think, oh yeah, pull the other one. But this thing, it's spookily agile. Very quick in a straight line, but it just simply doesn't feel anywhere near as heavy as the numbers say it is. If the numbers say 2.3 something kilograms, I'm saying 17 to 1800 kilograms. I'm getting a beep because the rear spoiler's coming up. It shouldn't do that. Well, it should do, but not there.
The GT suspension is a deeply sophisticated mix of conventional wishbones at the front and a multi-link rear end, but with a mix of computers and air to control every millimetre of its travel. Its wheels and tyres are 22 inches in diameter, and all up it weighs over 2.2 tonnes. But as we discovered, the way it manages its weight is extraordinary, especially on a track.
But you can really chuck the GT around and you can use its weight to your advantage. It has great turning like that there. So the rear is just wanting to come out under power, and then you get on the power and it sends, what is it, 83% of the drive from the four-wheel drive system to the rear axle when you're in sport mode. And obviously we're on a track, so I am in sport mode. So you get 83% of the torque 83% of the power all going to the back axle, and that fundamentally means it becomes a rear-wheel drive car, which is why you can do all the stupid stuff in it. And yet if you dial it back on the road, if you put it into Bentley mode, I think you only ever get about 37-38% of drive going to the front axle, but it still becomes much more like a four-wheel drive car, and so you get all the stability that comes with that. But you don't want that on a track, you just want to hoon it around like a maniac. And when you do, I mean, the previous car absolutely would not take what I am doing to this car. It would just wash out and you'd have no other option left in your armoury. You just have to slow down and get yourself a bit more space. But this thing, I mean, that is just, you shouldn't be able to do that in 2.5 tons worth of Bentley. What I also love is the brakes. The brakes are really powerful. The biggest, they're claiming that this thing's got the biggest brakes of any production road car there has ever been, ever, amen. And they are massive, but they're only steels, but flipping hell, they slow this down thing well. Paddle shift gearbox this time round, as per last time, but this time it's a full dual clutch. It's a PDK box from a Panamera. Just works really well. But it's the chassis agility does your brain in. Is this car a sports car? No, it is not a sports car, but it is a very, very sporting GT car, right at the far end of how sporting a GT car can actually be. I'm just a bit amazed by it, actually. And you know what the other thing is about the Bentley GT, the new Bentley GT? It costs 156 grand. Which is only a few grand, and when I say a few, I mean 2 or 3, 4 grand more than the outgoing model, and yet it is so much better than the old car in every single way. I mean, it's rivals of the S-Class Coupe and the DB11. Gosh, the poor old DB11. I'm not sure how that would get on against this thing. Without doing it back to back, you never know, but I've got a feeling this thing might take care of a DB11. Sorry folks at Aston Martin, but you got a proper rival in the shape of this car. It's really, really good.
Quite apart from being surprisingly good to drive, the GT is also just a lovely thing to be in, with the kind of exceptional levels of quality and craftsmanship you'd expect from a Bentley, but with a distinctly sporting edge also in this case. Overall, we loved it. Not just to look at and be in, but to drive on both road and track. Bottom line, this could well be the best GT car in the world right now, and very possibly ever, come to think of it. Click on the video windows to watch a first drive of the GT's rival from Aston Martin, the DB11 V8, or watch another first drive of the GT's technical cousin, the Porsche Panamera Turbo. Click on the play icon to watch our latest video, or on our logo to subscribe. And as ever, thanks for watching.